السلام عليكم. السلام عليكم. Can I have the panelists?
Waalaikumsalam.
Now it's almost 10:30 and it is 3 minutes past on it. Can we start now? I would like to call the panels.
Yeah, I think it's better for you to start, Associate Professor Dr. Fahmi Shehu. That's our limited time.
Okay, then if we start, so are you going to listen to this segment? Okay. We can start now. Okay, Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Wassalatu wassalamu ala Sayyidina Muhammadin wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajma'in. Wa man tabi'ahu bi ihsanin ila yawmiddin. Rabbi shrah li sadri wa yassir li amri wahlul 'uqdatan min lisani yafqahu qawli. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi ta'ala wa barakatuhu. A very good morning. So before we proceed with this panel discussion today, and before we extend our thanks to the organizing committee and those who invited us, let me just briefly brief you about our panel. When you look at the main theme of our panel, it is about digitalizing religious practices, preaching and learning through new social media applications during coronavirus pandemic. I'll be the chair of this session, and we have another 4 panelists. We have Sister Iswani, we have Brother Fatalia Morshidi, we have Haira Rizka and Nurul Adha. We are going to have almost 2 hours, but I have divided the time. So for this brief information, I'll take 10 minutes. Then we are going to have for each speaker 15 minutes. And at the end, we have located for question and answer session 25 minutes. And that is the whole program that we are going to have. Now, before we proceed, I would like to brief you a bit about our concerns. When you look at the current situation, there are many challenges that have been posed by COVID-19 pandemic, globally as well as locally. And when I look at this affected many sectors and where people were facing a lot of challenges related to the different aspects of life. And above all, this affected the close relationships between people as far as their family relationships, as well as the relationships between Muslims and Muslims. And that affected as well as the interpretation of the Islamic teachings through this time of pandemic. And and when you look at the purpose of our, panel discussion here, as I mentioned, the concern it is how we are going to revisit and reactivate the scientific applications that have been lately discovered, and we are using them for almost, let's say, 2 decades. But during this pandemic, they have become more active as previously. And here we look at the social media applications like Facebook, WhatsApp, Twitter, YouTube, and Instagram. So here we have, when I look at this, the way how to solve the problems that we are facing when it comes to our relationships, as well as the interpretation of the teachings of Islam, we have seen that many Muslim scholars internationally and locally, and especially in Indonesia, they have come out with many policies in order to control or monitor the way of interpreting the teachings of Islam through this platform. And this, if I said that this conference, it is one of them that provides the solution for us in order to monitor the way how Muslims in particular and other people in general use this platform when they want to know and learn about Islam. And of course, the most important thing is that we are going to target are the Muslim youth, because they're facing many problems and challenges during our time. And here I can say that the main solutions that we have somehow achieved through this panel, discussion that we are going to have, and based on what we have studied, there are 5, if I say, main solutions that I can present to you. When I look at how do you look at the Facebook application, it is very reliable source in order to disseminate the knowledge that is provided by Islam, and that is through Islamic Dawah. And the second one, when I look at the influence of Dawah accounts towards students' anxiety in facing the threat of COVID-19 pandemic. And the third one, when I look at the relevance of Ash'ariyya, when I look at their approaches, how to integrate, if we look at both the approach of science and the approach of Islam when you are going to make use of this platform. And another important thing here that we have looked at, it is the role of online games with Islamic context in order to foster the interests of the Muslim youth to increase their knowledge about Islam during this COVID-19 pandemic. And the most important thing, when you look at the last, solution that we have found, how the religious scholars that are representing the Muslim community, they have managed to create common groups and communities through this online platform in order to provide solutions. Now, when you look at the members, before we proceed with the presentations, so we as a team would like to extend firstly our thanks and gratitude to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for making it easy for us to gather here at this moment to share with you our knowledge that is related to the subject of this conference. And secondly, would like to extend our thanks and gratitude to Indonesian government and especially Ministry of Religious Affairs in collaborating with various agencies and organizations for taking this initiative to organize such excellent international conference with the theme Islam in a changing global context, rethinking fiqh, reactualization and public policy. Through which solutions we believe that solutions are provided in order to solve the problems that are faced by Muslims during this COVID pandemic-19. And thirdly, would like to extend our thanks and gratitude to the participants who are going to follow our discussion and presentations. And fourthly, would like to thank all those who contributed in organizing this great event. And lastly, would like to thank and extend our appreciation to the people of Indonesia, especially its youth who love to learn and convey the message of Islam through new means of communications. So with that, would like to start our presentation after we have provided this brief introduction about the content of our panel. So I would like to, of course, I am the chair of this program. So maybe I'll be the last one to present my paper. So let me start with the first that comes after me, So now we would like to invite the first panelist, that is Dr. Rizwani. Let's just give you a brief information about her. Of course, first and foremost, she's an Indonesian citizen, and she is a senior lecturer in the Faculty of Education and Teaching Training, Universitas Islam Negeri Sultan Syarif Qasim Riau. And she has participated, for your information, in national and international conferences, such as International Conference on Gender and Development 2018 in Makassar, the Asian Pacific Sociological Association Conference in 2018 in Japan, as well as in other activities. And when you look at the focus of her topic is going to be on students' perception of Islamic content amidst COVID-19 on Instagram. And for each panelist, as I mentioned, we have located 15 minutes. Fatafaddali, Sister Rizwani, please, you have 15 minutes.
Okay, thank you. Let me try to. Okay. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Thank you. Our chairman, I'm the chairman of this group, Associate Professor Dr. Fahmir Shehu, who direct this discussion, and also thanks for the moderator, for the committee who give me time to present my paper, and then my paper about students' perception of Islamic content amidst COVID-19 on Instagram. Okay, let me discuss the introduction. COVID-19 has dramatically changed the whole structure worldwide, and numerous policies have been in place to cure the COVID-19 infection. And social media has been used as an effective and efficient instrument to spread awareness about the dangers of this virus. Through the Instagram, narrative COVID-19 danger has emerged in various contents, including in the Islamic content, which is raised on the Dawah account. For example, plague arise because of adultery, or plague arise because of human sin. Consequently, it drives the reader of the content to be in stressful situation because stress can easily happen when someone in critical situation. Previous research related to the negative emotion experienced by the student in utilizing Instagram showed that the student displayed aversions to posting mental health disclosures on Instagram. This study done by Bandes and Clayson and so on. And then the second one, the study also showed that the high intensity of Instagram use may strengthen the college student low e-health literacy, especially when interacting with heterogeneous connection with weaker ties. The study, it seemed that this negative emotion would be prevalent on showing more negative impact toward the student, especially during this pandemic. Consequently, it is interesting to discover how their perception toward the Islamic content of COVID-19 on Instagram amidst pandemic. The funding of this research can be used to map the situation, emotion in adapting in the new normal. And let me discuss the research methodology. I use the narrative qualities methodology based on the CRACK approach 2012. It aims to explore student perception of Islamic content of COVID-19 on Instagram. The narrative study point out the complexness and dynamic participation experience happening in the dimension of space, time, culture, and social. And then the participant, there were two students of Universitas Islam Negeri Sultan Syarif Kashim Riau participated in this research. I announced to the students who were interested in becoming my participants. They were given the opportunity to withdraw whenever they wish. 10 students were willing to become participants. After going through the negotiation process of the time and other technical conditions, only 2 students were willing and their names were disguised. So the profile of the student on table 1, name Fikria, gender female, department guidance and counseling, because I am the lecturer of guidance and counseling, age 19, year first year, and then the second one, Abdul, gender male, department education management, age 20, and year the second year. Data collection. The data collection by using the Zoom interview where the participants talk about Islamic content of COVID-19 on Instagram. I observed, through the Zoom, I observed the participant emotion and feeling. At the end of the session, they were requested to write a journal to reflect about their feeling when they read the Islamic content of COVID-19. I asked them to send this journal through WhatsApp. This reflection journal was used to identify their emotion and feelings. Furthermore, to get the comprehensive data, I also invited them to join the Zoom interview. This the second interview, but not together, just one by one. It's meant between me and the participant. Data analysis, the word to data retrieved from the participant, the positive emotion showing through the benefit of Islamic content of COVID-19 on Instagram for them to avoid COVID-19. It refers to Yih, Kirby, and Smith 2019. And then the negative emotion showing the challenge of understanding Islamic content on Instagram. It refers to Lee 2018. Consequently, it is required a thematic analysis of the reflection journal and the Zoom interview conducted by the researcher. Now, finding and discussion. There are two findings in this study. The first is positive emotion of the student, and the second one of the negative of emotion of the student. Both participants agreed that basically Islamic content on Instagram can remind them of the danger of COVID-19 health. So they use strict health protocols. This positive emotion is shown through the response that Islamic content on Instagram is a source of peace and an antidote to anxiety for them. This suggests that the relationship between spirituality and anxiety is important to consider. This study done by Raoul, Casual, and 1911. This is the example that the content on Instagram that they read, ya, berbuat dosa in bahasa Indonesia. Let me say bahasa Indonesia, Dr. Fatmir, berbuat dosa saat wabah melanda, or maybe in English we can say that plague hit the world, something like that. And then the second one, negative emotion of the student. I found out that not all the Islamic content on Instagram regarding COVID-19 able to comfort the participant. On the other hand, some of these occasions shame, guilt, and fear, which actually increase their anxiety. This is in line with the finding Jang 2019 that spirituality has no relationship to anxiety or negative relationship done by Jones et al. 2011. An important thing that should be taken into account against the above finding is their limited ability to distinguish between hoaxes and verified information. So the participant sometimes cannot differentiate between which one is hoaxes and which one is hoax and which one is verified information. This also the content on Instagram that I asked them to show their feeling about this content. Akibat tidak mensyukuri nikmat Allah Ta'ala, there is something wabah and so on. The last one, I think it is more short presentation. Conclusion, emotional struggles shown by the students through the interview and reflection journal indicate that they are trying to protect themselves infected by COVID-19. The Islamic content on Instagram make them an anxiety facing the COVID-19. They even the content even raise awareness about the implementation of health protocols. So through the content of Islamic on Instagram, they always remind them about the importance of the implementation of health protocols to protect them from the COVID-19. Therefore, it is expected that they can keep on showing that positive attitude. Moreover, this found out also explicitly accentuate the importance of media literacy among the university students. Because some of them still I said that cannot differentiate between which one is hoax and which one is the good one to follow or to read. The next research need to conclude more students from all faculties because this narrative studies. So the participant just two, from my faculty, education faculty. It didn't include the student from another faculty like science and technology faculty because I think science faculty students maybe more can differentiate between hoax and not hoax about the Islamic content on Instagram. Yeah, I think this is all. I know that this research still more weaknesses. So I do hope the suggestion and also the criticism from the audience. I think this is all. Again, I say thank Prof. Dr. Pamir Shibu as my chairman in this group. Also, I say thanks to my member like Ada, and one of my member cannot attend this conference because her mother is had sent to the hospital, so she doesn't join this program. I think this is all. Thanks. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Alaikum salam wa barakallahu fiki, Dr.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi
That was
wabarakatuh.
a very great presentation and very insightful, as well as very informative in nature. So we are going to have later on the question and answer session. So we are going to continue with the second presenter until we finish, then we open for the question and answer. So I have informed the participants to write the questions in the chat room, and later on you can even ask directly the panelists. So I would like to thank once again Dr. Iswani, Barakallahu Fiki. So now we are going to like to invite the second panelist, that is Brother Fatahillah Murshidi. Let me just give a brief introduction about him. As I mentioned previously with Dr. Iswani, Brother Fatahillah is an Indonesian citizen, and he is born, Madura Island in East Java. But he has been very active in many activities that have been organized with the Muslims as well as Muslims and others, especially engaging himself in interreligious dialogue activities, peace campaigns, and religious freedom advocacies. And in 2018, he earned his bachelor degree at State Islamic University, Yogyakarta, in financial management, and he is pursuing his master currently degree in Center for Religious and Cross-Cultural Studies at the Gadjah Mada University. And when you look at his academic career and the focus of his research, it is on religious conflict and peace building. And he's going to share with us today in this panelist discussion research with the topic religion versus science, and a media-based epistemological dispute within COVID-19 pandemic. Fayatafaddal mashkuran. Please come, Brother Fatahillah. You have 15 minutes.
Thank you, Dr. Fatmir.
Welcome.
Let me share my PowerPoint. Well, I think my presentation won't take that long, so I hope it's okay. I think it will be no longer than 10 up to 12 minutes, I believe. Well, my research is about a media-based epistemological dispute within COVID-19 pandemic, based on my field research in my own homeland, which is Madura Island. I believe most of you familiar with this kind of island. And I conduct this research during the pandemic, so I want to apologize for the limits of the data that I gain, because there are many limitations I found during the research. Okay, this is the background. So according to Kominfo, Kementerian Informasi, Kementerian, what is Kominfo? Kementerian Komunikasi dan Informatika Indonesia, Indonesian Ministry for Information and for Communication in Informatics. By November 15, there are around 1948 hoaxes on COVID-19, this is very interesting because if we look closer at the data, we will find that there are a different pattern between the hoaxes that is distributed during the initial outbreak of COVID-19 and those hoaxes that are distributed during the latest period of COVID-19. Where in the first term of COVID-19, the hoaxes seems to be against the COVID-19. I mean, against the policies of COVID-19 issued by government, but lately, at least I think in the last of 2020, there is a transformative idea within the hoaxes, which is it takes more confirmative narrative toward the COVID-19. But however, what makes them similar is the religious narratives based on which they produce the narratives, which is inspiring communal resistance among the Indonesian society. The narratives such as fear none but God or Corona is the army of God, for example, this has been said by one of very prominent religious scholar. Maybe you remember the name. And like our destiny is in God's hand. So when God had determined the time we die, no one can delay or no one can advance it. So the death, our death has been predetermined by God's will. And Professor Masdar Hilmi, a professor from UIN Sunan Ampel, Surabaya, called this phenomena a cognitive dissonance, which means human ratio doesn't function well when it faces social phenomena. What he means by it doesn't function well is Indonesian religious society believe that there is an invisible entity, which is God, for example, angels, heaven, hell, and something like that. But when it comes to scientific invisible entity like the virus, which we call it Corona, they don't believe that. They don't believe it. I mean, some of them don't believe it. Not all of them. So this this phenomena what Hilmi called a cognitive dissonance in his brief article. And now come to my field research. Come to my field in which I conduct my research. So some people believe that, or some people who gain information from media believe that Madura seems most susceptible to these narratives, given that the strong religious commitment upheld by Maduranese people. So my question is, how are these narratives, I mean, religion-based narratives dispersed through social media, and the way Maduranese youth respond to them? Methodology, my study used a qualitative and descriptive method in which I use informal online interview with 7 students of Wiraraja University, one of the best private universities in Madura Island, located in Sumeneb. Sumeneb is the easternmost region of Madura Island. And there are 7 respondents who are varied in terms of gender, age, and department, as you can see in this table. a short overview on Madura Island for you who are not really familiar with this region. It is located off the northeastern coast of Java, as you can see in this map, and it consists of 4 regencies, starting from Bangkalan and then Sampang, Pamekasan, and Sumeneb, in which I was born and grew up as a child. And there are local authorities represented by Kiai. Kiai means religious leaders. And then Klebun. Klebun is village heads, Kepala Desa Klebun. We call it Klebun in Madura. And then Blatter. Blatter is local strongman. Local strongman, maybe like Jawara in Banten, if any one of you come from Banten. And these 3 authorities have a considerable influence and domination over crucial issues in Madura, including the issue of coronavirus. But in this research, I only focus on the first authority, which is Kiai, which is a religious authority in Madura, because I also include religious values in my variable. And the last important thing that I have to highlight about Madura is its homogeneous population, which is almost perhaps 98 up to 99 of its population are Muslim, and not only Muslim but NU Muslim. So if you know about the genealogy of NU and Muhammadiyah, for example, Indonesia as 2 largest Islamic organization, Madura constitute most, I think, of the NU members. So that why, for example, it is known as the religion of Madura, NU, Nahdlatul Ulama, because most of Indonesian population are actually the member of NU. And this is interesting because NU adopted a theology of Ash'ariyah, which is a Sunni theology. And this is important because it inspires them in dealing with the coronavirus, which I will explain later on. And again, to remember or to remind us about how the moderate paradigm of Ash'ariyah theology, if we refer to historical accounts, for example, there are disputes between Mu'tazilah and Murji'ah, for example, where Mu'tazilah believe that those who commit a sin, a great sin, believe that they are not a believer anymore. But there are Murji'ah, there is Murji'ah who believe that those who commit a great sin, they are still believer, but they will experience a little torture in hell before they are sent to the heaven. But Ash'ariyah, again, as a moderate stand between those 2 paradigms, take a neutral view who perceive that those who commit a sin is not believer but not non-believer. They are fasik, for example. Fasik means that you are still mu'min, you are still believer, but because you have committed a great sin, you are not a complete believer. And there are also Jabariyah and Qadariyah. If you look at the historical account, Jabariyah is fatalistic view of considering the free will of human being, and there are also Qadariyah who feel that human as a conscious creatures has its own free will to determine their own future. without being referred to God will, for example. But again, Ash'ariyah, as a moderate view, take a neutral position, which credit a kasab, which means that also we can determine our own future, but it can be separated from God's will, something like that. It is very complicated to explain that, but I believe that you can get it. And now come to the religion and science dispute. Again, as a moderate view between many other views, many other modern views, Ash'ariyah took a very moderate position between religion and science debate. For example, they still respect religion as human values, but
you have 3 minutes.
Okay, thank you. But they, in other side, they still respect scientific discoveries to as a consideration for their life actions, for example. So again, Ash'ariyah try to combine between religious values and scientific discoveries in dealing with this pandemic. But what I found in Madura is not about religion and science debate, but it is beyond that. It is social cohesion. If you come and you visit Madura, for example, there are many ceremonies. There are many communal events that is attended by maybe 100 or up to 1,000 of people, in which they show the enthusiastic communality among them. And again, it has nothing to do even with science and religion, because if you ask them, it is not about performing a religious ritual, but it is because they don't feel comfortable if they don't attend the ceremony. If they then attend the event, for example. So it's about social cohesion between Maduranese people, basically. And their hoaxes, I cannot read one by one, but you can see, for example, in the data that is issued by Kominfo, as I mentioned earlier, there are a number of hoaxes that is based on religious narratives. And now this is the point. The main point is that as long as I conduct an interview with my respondents, there are at least 5 reasoning that they deliver. First is political reasoning, asserting obligatory status of obeying government's regulation for the sake of public well-being. So, and then there is environmental reasoning, pointing out.
This is last minute.
Okay, one minute more. Between human and environment, and then apocalyptic reasoning, justifying struggle against the pandemic as a holy war. You can imagine it. And then historical reasoning, referring to the story of Muhammad and his companions as relevant models. And then the last thing, an important one, is theological reasoning, which is implementing religious precepts, ikhtiyar, tawakal, and tabayun in responding the pandemic and related hoaxes. Now, my conclusion is, among various, I just want to read the second point. Among various responses given to this situation, to this pandemic situation, Ash'ariyah model of the moderate position, which gives an equal respect for religion and science, is still preferred, at least in Madura, in which I conduct my research. Neither fatalistic nor not totally giving credence to human's power, this stance argued that following health protocols and other medical advices is a sort of ikhtiyar in search of the best solution to the pandemic. Nevertheless, implementing this principle is not sufficient without being followed by its inseparable edge, which is tawakal. Along with political, environmental, apocalyptical, and historical reasoning, as I explained earlier, these notions are considered the best way of addressing the virus without being trapped into a classical dispute between religion and science. Thank you. Thank you, Doctor.
Okay, thank you very much, Barakallah Fik, Brother Fatahillah. You have presented a great presentation, as you have provided information related to the current situation particular region in Indonesia. As you have mentioned, there is not a kind of moderation between what Islam teaches us and what the science is providing for us. So let us see later on how the participants are going to raise questions, so then you can further elaborate this. I've seen that these are very good studies that you have done, both the two panelists. We are very happy with the presentations, alhamdulillah. So now we'd like to go to the third panelist, that is Sister Haira Rizka. Alhamdulillah, she managed to settle everything with her mother, and we pray to Allah to grant her mother good health. And she managed to come and present her paper in this panel discussion. And she is, of course, an Indonesian citizen, and currently she is a lecturer majoring in linguistics, and she has received her master's degree in arts from Universitas Gadjah Mada in 2015, and now she's a full-time, as an English lecturer, and her concerns, or if I say the focus of her research, it is on cultural linguistics and sociolinguistics. And of course, she has attended many conferences and she has presented her ideas in these conferences. And the focus of her discussion today will be on theorizing online game applications with Islamic content to foster youth's willingness to learn Islam. Please, sister, the floor is yours. You have 15 minutes.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Dr. Fatmin Shehu, for the introductions. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Today, I'd like to present my paper under the title Theorizing Online Game Application with Islamic Content to Foster Youth's Willingness to Learn Islam. So this research was initiated by the idea that online game becomes popular among youth with the fast emergence of internet use. Various types of games are available and free to download on our gadgets. And these conditions has increased during the pandemic, in which children or young generations, they play games for more than an hour. Well, this condition is actually a good opportunity for us as a teacher, or maybe as an adult, as parents, and also as religious teachers, to then actually spread the message of Islam through using the game. And this good opportunity was actually taken by millennial game developers who utilize these conditions to build online application games with Islamic content. And their main purpose is actually to teach the children about religion, about Islam, and also to spread the idea of Islam, Rahmatan lil Alamin, with an amusing and entertaining ways. So this paper has two primary research formulations. The first one is to investigate sort of online game application with Islamic contents. And then the second one to analyze Muslim youth perspectives on the phenomenon. And to answer the formulation, I employed the religions and virtual reality theory of Bainbridge. This is a descriptive qualitative research. I collected the data using textual study and also the interview. And also the collected data were then analyzed using the textual analysis and ethnography methods. Well, this is the finding of my research. Basically, there are 10 biggest online game applications in Indonesia, and I classified them based on the numbers of downloads or users and also their rates. We could see that the first is Belajar Sholat plus Audio Marble. It has 1 million downloads or active users. And this online game teaches and also quizzes about Salat, the idea of Salat, principles of Salat, Rukun Salat, and many things about Salat. And this is, I think, it's a is a unique one because children will be more attractive or more enthusiastic to learn Salat from a game. The second one is Belajar Mengaji, means that this game teaches about reading Holy Quran and also reading the Hijaiyah alphabets for the players. The third one is Cerdas Cermat Islami. This is a game which quizzes any general knowledge of Islam, like the Prophet and also the history of Islam, and also the other things related to the general knowledge of Islam. The fourth one, and this is, in my opinion, is the most interesting one. This is hafalan Quran, or reciting or memorizing Al-Quran. What we have known for a couple of years, for example, we know that actually memorizing Al-Quran using conventional ways, for example. But then this developer trying to see that actually memorizing Al-Quran can be done in a very attractive way, in a very amusing way using the games, and it will invite many young generations to easily memorize Al-Quran with an online game, with an attractive way. While the other games, they are quiz for general Islamic knowledge. So the genre of the 10 highest Islamic game applications is about Salat, reading the Quran, then memorizing the Quran, and also, but most of them are Islamic religious knowledge. So because we know that actually children will be feeling bored, or they know that reading a book or reading a journal is not interesting at all. So game will be the best solutions for those, or to invite those children, young generation, and most especially those who have never learned Islam before, to then learn Islam, to then learn reading the Quran, or maybe to then memorize the Quran in a very attractive ways. Okay, so three most popular religious game applications provide challenging puzzle, because basically when children or young generations, they are challenged with a puzzle, with a game, with the audio and video educations that will be more attractive to willingly participate in the learning. And then also there are several activities, challenges with Islamic content. While entertaining themselves, gamers also actually learn Islamic knowledge. So this is very beneficial, rather than they just playing game in other types, or playing the game which do not give any beneficial. So this is actually very, very beneficial, and this is also very effective to teach the children, because we know that children spending hours and sometimes 5 hours to playing the game. So let's say, for example, if you are in Islamic religion teachers, you can invite your teacher, your students to learn Islam, to learn memorizing the Quran by using the games. It will be more effective because students or young generations, they are more involved. They are more engaged with the games, with a mobile phone, rather than with a book. They stay away with the book, but they stay closer with the game. So it will be like a good opportunity for us to spread the message of Islam to them. Gamers comment indicate that they are satisfied with the games. So after downloading the games, the apps, then also use the apps itself, they give several comments, and their comments indicate that they are satisfied with the games and with the content. Furthermore, they say that they get more benefits by learning more knowledge about Islam in more amusing way, because we know again and again, reading a book and most especially reading religious book is something horrible, something frightening, something boring for young generation. So we need an innovation to solve such a problem, and game is probably a more effective media, is probably a good solution to cope such a problem and to foster youth learn Islam. And we hope that after that, and most especially children who've never learned Islam before, who've never learned Islam in a serious way, then they will be like attractive in learning Islam. They want to know more, and this is a kind of initial step for the children to learn Islam. Well, my conclusion might be today, teaching Islamic knowledge has been conducted conventionally and is not exciting for the children, and we know that. It is no wonder that not many children master Islamic knowledge, not many children want to learn Islamic knowledge. Therefore, adopting online games to teach and learn Islamic knowledge will become an additional supporting teaching material, and most especially for teaching and learning Islamic knowledge. That's all. Thank you very much. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Thank you very much, Sister Haira, for this wonderful presentation. And I believe that the young intellectuals that are listening to us will take the lead to develop this if I say applications that can be used for the Islamic Dawah purposes. And as we have seen that you have done, mashallah, wonderful research and study in order to identify the needs of our community. So I believe that is for the young generation, as I mentioned, let them take the lead and provide for our community what is needed according to our time. And that will respond easily to the challenges that we are facing today, especially during this COVID pandemic-19 that we pray to Allah that soon it will be gone, inshallah. But of course, we don't have to stop here. The life maybe will become different after this COVID. So thank you very much once again, Sister Haira. Now we have the before last presenter, panelist, you know, I forgot myself. Huh? So we are going to invite Sister, the fourth panelist, Nurul Adha. Let me just briefly provide a short information about her. As I have seen, she is very active, mashallah. She is an Indonesian citizen, and she is a lecturer in Islamic ethics at Institute Technology Sumatra and an online tutor in Islamic education at Indonesia Open University. And of course, the most important thing that I have seen here, she is very active for religious education books in the Ministry of Religious of the Republic of Indonesia. And for your information, she has received her master's degree in Sharia from the Graduate School of Sharif Hidayatullah State Islamic University, Jakarta in 2020. Then it means that, and she is going to continue her PhD, inshallah, like the others. And when you look at the focus of her presentation today is going to be on the new media, new contextualization, religious discourse in the digital public reach during COVID-19 pandemic. So Sister Nurul Adha, you have 15 minutes, please. Welcome.
Okay. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Thank you so much for the introductions, Dr. Fahmir. Good morning, everyone, and thank you so much for the introductions. The title of my research is New Media, New Contextualization, Religious Discourse in the Digital Public COVID-19 Pandemic. Okay, maybe someone is talking there. Okay, Dr. Fahmir, I will ask some questions. Is my slides is shown now on the screen? Everybody can look at that? Yeah.
Yeah, yes, please. Yeah, please proceed.
Yeah.
Everything's
Thank you. And this title come to my brain because I look at the development of digital space on social media. Now, social media become one thing important for everyone. And now in the pandemic, social media provide a stage for ulama. But especially for this pandemic, the authority of ulama is represented by online ustad. So our focus now is talking about online ustad, and this online ustad basically is a ulama before pandemic, but we can call that online ustad become the new religious authority. And there are many online ustad in Indonesia and around the world. During this COVID-19 pandemic, the phenomenon of online reciting was more popular than physical recitals at the mosque for Muslim, because everybody keep the health protocol, and we are forbidden to come to the event who will including many people there. And I look at the social media that social media also strengthen the message of da'wah during this pandemic. And I think with my research, we can found that every online ustad develop various da'wah methods on their respective social media platforms accounts. And I think religious organizations in Indonesia and in every country should play a role in encouraging the control and prevention of the COVID-19 pandemic. And I see that the advice of religious leaders about keeping the distance between the congregation is one of the spiritual factors needed by the community. And so the background of this research is you can see in the social media, because everything happened in social media, including the spiritual spirit. And we know that from the social media, pandemic become a basic life for us, because we can face this pandemic by helping keep updating in the social media. So the problem in my research actually about Indonesian online ustad. Why? Because I see that few online ustads tended to belittle or tend to deny and ignore the health authorities' appeals. Why? Because I see that some of online ustad social media post some photos or maybe many photos that show people don't keep discipline of health protocols. And I think few of online ustad still until now, until today, publish the photo that imply a disregard for the discipline of health protocols. And some of the discourse, articulation, and attitude of religious leaders are trigger public disobedience. So the public will be jealous to them because they can do everything without taking care of the discipline of health protocols. And the public, especially in Indonesia, show that the invited people in spirituals did not wear masks from the publications. And they will see that the people in the photos or in the publication of the online ustad in the social media were disciplined in social distancing, and they still shook hands and they still gathered among children without masks. And this is the dangers. For me, this is the dangers for us, because this will be misunderstanding and misinformation about the pandemic. And I think that the religious leaders must unite to educate and disseminate information to the public through their social media content. So that's why I make here in my papers that we have to analyze how changes in the relationship and communication between online ulama and the community in Indonesia during this COVID-19 pandemic on social media. And the second is to analyze how the characteristic of the social media content distributed by scholars in the digital public space during this pandemic. So after that, we're talking about methodology. So basically this research using the descriptive qualitative method with data analysis, using qualitative content analysis techniques, and collecting data through media observation and documentation. So qualitative content analysis works in data collections, and second data coding, and the third data analysis, and the fourth data interpretation. And data collected from Instagram, from two Instagram. Number one is Instagram Ustadz Abdul Somad _official, and the second one is Instagram of Aagim. So our online Ustad in this paper is two online Ustad, two famous online Ustad around the world, maybe around the Southeast Asia, Ustadz Abdul Somad and Aagim. And data collect from March 2020 until March 2021, and there are more than for Ustadz Abdul Somad uploaded content in that period, and maybe more than 70 uploaded content in that period for Ustadz online Ustadz Aagim. But the author only took 10 for those contents that imply the one message related to this pandemic COVID-19. And in detail, the second step is data coding by creating a table categorizing of this 10 content. And the third stage is data analysis by linking data findings with the theoretical study of Dawah messages consisting of faith, Sharia, and morals through the society. The data obtained were analyzed using Dawah message in an informative message, persuasive message, and informational message. And the last is data will be interpreted by the author. So this is the methodology, and now about literature review. So basically, many researchers that told religious leaders have to play a role to make society and their communities still keep discipline of health protocols. And scholars research around religious studies in the digital space have developed since the emergence of internet media and social media during this pandemic. So we have to look at that the internet has encouraged people to tinker with their religious affiliations through this online Ustad. So the issue is we have to know that there are some increase in the higher education and the influence of non-religious education, both of which can play an essential role in increased religious affiliation. So this affiliation actually will push society to choose which online Ustad will be the role of their religious things during this pandemic. So if the affiliation will more close to one Ustad, maybe the Ustad who still posts the photo implied to undisciplined protocol health, it will be like some of distractions for our missions in this pandemic to keep wearing masks. And we know that from here, there are some papers that told religious organizations have a hand in encouraging the control and preventions of the COVID pandemic. And every leader can help their community to face this pandemic, and they help governments with information for keeping discipline with health protocols in the community. And in America, maybe a modern Orthodox Jewish community in New York State was the first community to quarantine due to the COVID outbreak. So this is just a fact, a small fact that religious leaders have a control to make the society in a good condition. And community members report in around the world that they trust information regarding COVID-19 from the local religious community organization. So we know that this paper will show that the community more trust to the religious community in their community and less trust to the government agencies. So this is our focus today. So we know that a religious leader have control with their community. So we expect that they will keep this trusted information from the community during this pandemic. And also many papers thought that like Bob in 2013 and arose in 2015 that they show that religious leaders significantly influence the types of health. This is outside the pandemic, but this is related to this pandemic. And Peterson also showed that in 2022 also suggests that the more moderate the effectiveness of health promotion can be done by promoting religion-based program. However, I look at the reality that few online ustads still show the lack of cooperation between religious leaders and health workers can lead to audience scale that cause various infectious disease like this pandemic. So let's move to the finding and discussion. So there are two big findings in this paper. The number one is religious agenda during the COVID pandemic, especially in the Muslim countries. And second one is Dawah model of online ustad in mitigating the COVID-19 pandemic. So number one, every government help stops the spread of COVID-19 pandemic by closing
you have 3 minutes. 3 minutes left.
Okay, so every country in this around the world helping the society to keep discipline in the protocol of health, and also beside that, religious organization can control people and can reach people very fast than the government. So this is the point what we're talking about. And more religious figures and organizations have agreed to the government's proposal to safeguard the maslahah. I look at this in various countries, but this is not just words. We have to look at the reality. Is there any leaders or religious agree with this and implementing this, or just agree with this and do not do anything to implementation about this discipline of health protocols? And the last, religious organization regulated some rules related to the religious activities of Muslim community during this COVID pandemic. We know that there are religious authority in Indonesia that regulate some rules for the community, like Nahdlatul Ulama and Muhammadiyah and also MUI, and we appreciate that because this role will become more focused to the community to keep they are in the discipline of health protocols. But in the second findings, in the one of online Ustad, I see that Ustad Abdul Somad posts the photos still actively carrying out a religious activity invited by many people across the religion, across regional and across island visits and religious activities by what that invite large number of people. And I think this is the dangerous thing in our time, because the photos show that everybody there keep taking off the mask. We can see that in the photos, you can see that, and they are children. This has happened in December 2020. So we can see that The children do not wear masks. Even, okay, we can understand this is just a photo, but this photo will be like a big news or for around the world, because Abu Somad have many followers in his social media, and we can see this. Most of the photo is show that many children don't have masks. Even they use the mask, but they don't use that with discipline of health protocols. This is, we can see this is activity in Riau, and we know that Riau is the village of Ustaz Abu Somad, but we see here the second one. This take place at West Kalimantan. Kalimantan and Sumatra is a different island, so they don't use masks. So this is what I said, that become a big gap between the regulation of the authority of leaders, the regions, and what they did in their social media. So we can see again, and this is happened in September 2020, and I'm so sad about this, because we can see in this mosque, we can see many people, or not many, maybe much people here don't use masks or don't use it with the discipline of health protocols. And this is like the physical activities still happen in a mosque during a COVID pandemic. And we know that in that time, the COVID-19 increased so fast. It's like the first tsunami COVID in Indonesia. So yeah, I think maybe we have to make some rules in our social media, like we have to keep ourselves to publish the good thing in our social media, because this will be trigger for the society to become jealous, to become angry about this show. So the second one is online Ustad Agim. For me, after research about Agim, I see that in his social media, he always proves an
Mr.
example
Nurul,
of
the time is
a
over.
meeting during okay. One the conclusion. I think the new religious authority is represented by online Ustad during this pandemic, and in 2020, online Ustad tended to be veto and deny and ignore the health authorities' appeals, like you see in the screen. And the online Ustad published still photos that imply disregard for the discipline of health protocols, and some of the discards, articulation, and attitudes of religious leaders are trigger public disobedience. Okay, thank you so much for the opportunity. I'm sorry for every mistake. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Yeah, thank you very much, and Barakallah Fik, Sister Nurul. You have shared with us very insightful information. And the most important thing that what we have observed from your presentation, it seems like the religious leaders, the Muslim religious leaders, are making use of the responsibility that is given to them, but it seems like some of them, they do not uphold it properly. So we believe that this will be maybe a lesson for all of us, as well as to help one another in order to maintain rules and regulations in our community, regardless of the position that we have in our society. And we see that as an amana and a trust that the community has entrusted to us. And above all, it is a trust that is entrusted to us by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Thank you very much, Sister Nurul. So we have finished with the presentations now. So what is left? So let me just briefly present my paper. Then later on, we go for questions and answers. So I'll share with you. I have done a small study. Maybe perhaps those who presented, they have done. My study, it is related for 1 second, there is a problem here. One second, there is a problem with. Can you see the slides in the Facebook? Can you see the slides?
Yeah, we see it.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, when you look at the topic, yeah, before we proceed, there is no one to introduce me, then I introduce myself. So I do come from Albania. I have done all my degrees in the International Islamic University in Malaysia. So I came here and I learned about Islam. That was a golden opportunity for me, Alhamdulillah. And currently, after I have done all my degrees and my specialization, it is in Usuluddin, a comparative religion. So I am currently a lecturer in the Department of Usuluddin, a comparative religion in International Islamic University in Malaysia. At the same time, I am a deputy director in the International Institute for Muslim Unity. So we do organize many activities, and our aim in this institution is to serve the Muslim Ummah and humanity at large. So, and I have presented in many papers, and my focus of research interest, it is on interreligious dialogue, as well as on the relationship between Muslims and others. Of course, we have to bear in mind how do we look at it from the Islamic point of view, especially by referring to the Islamic sources. So when you look at the topic that I'm going to share with you is about the exploration, the efficacy of selected Facebook account. I selected many, but here perhaps I'll refer to just only one Facebook account that I did a kind of analysis, and how do they use this account for dawah purposes during especially COVID-19 pandemic. So briefly, I'll look at the situation. Maybe others have presented. This is the situation that we have gone through, this pandemic, and how we are going to respond. Of course, this created a chaos and posed many challenges for our community. And the most important thing here that I have just to focus on when I look at the current situation, it is that this created many problems when it comes to our relationship with neighbors, in the marketplaces, in the working areas, in the education institutions. So we have been like for 2 years, we are struggling because all the classes are online. You see that is the problem that was created by COVID, but that was a solution. We can say that imagine if this platform was not established and developed, maybe most of us were going to go without having any classes conducted for a period of 2 years. So that is the beauty of having this. And we had some restrictions, then we had to follow rules and regulations. Now, when I say the reason behind this, when I look at, I mean, to have, why do we need this kind of study, as I mentioned, to find a solution for the current situation, especially in building our relationship with the members of our community, as well as to maintain it, especially when we know that our social relationship has been affected, but through the use of Facebook platform, especially, that has provided a solution for us to maintain that relationship and to strengthen as well as to enhance. This is the reason why I mentioned here that most of the Muslims, especially, they have chosen this platform to cooperate with one another. And when you look at when we convey our communication of the teachings of Islam, so we have seen many platforms, but I see that Facebook has become an easy platform that we make use of it. But maybe we can, when you look at it, there could be two sides. One is beneficial, depends on the way we use it. And another one could be destructive in nature, depends on the use of the counter. So that is very important, because when you look at ourselves being Muslim, then we have a different direction. Now, when you look at the solutions, so many, especially Muslim intellectuals and academicians, they have taken this initiative to provide a solution for this during this COVID pandemic that we have gone through for 2 years. And I see that the most important thing that we have not stopped, it is by using this Facebook platform, but at the same time, we have found other remedies that are helping us to maintain our relationship with one another, and especially to have better understanding about Islam. And I see that this conference, it is one of its nature that is providing for us this platform. And this is a reminder for us. Now let us see, when you look at the objectives of this discussion that I'm focusing on, when I selected this Facebook account, so I wanted to look at the activities that are introduced, especially within a period of time. Then I limited the period of time. It is within a period from March to July 2021. So that is how I look at it. But I'll be focusing only on one particular activity, as I mentioned, in order to look at how efficient this Facebook is to convey the message of Islam to others within just a short period of time. And that is a very important thing that I have mentioned here, that we have to look at how we make use of this Facebook for Dawah purposes. And the most important thing here, when we use this Dawah purposes, and why I have done this study, in order to remind us how to use this Facebook platform. So we have to, instead of abusing that, we have to benefit from this platform. Now, this is, I selected many, but I was very much impressed by this Facebook account, that is the Deen Show. Maybe perhaps some of you that have come across this. It has, you see, this is the, I'll talk a bit maybe about this Facebook account and the manager of this Deen Show Facebook account. So this is the logo that is used by this Facebook account. And you can see that the followers, maybe there could be other Facebook account that they have much, maybe, or they are more crowded than this. But what I have seen, it has 5.8 million members up to date. And that is the personal blog.
Hello, Dr. Fatmir.
Yes.
For interrupting, we couldn't see your share screen. It's a blank.
Can you see now?
No, it's now. There is no share screen at all. It's a black.
It's a black. So let me just stop.
Yes.
Can you see now?
No, we don't. We don't.
Yeah, let me just share it again. Huh? Can you see now?
No, there is no
still loading.
No. Yes, I can
Already.
see.
Yeah, we
Yes,
see.
I can see.
Thank you. It's clear now. It's clear now.
Can you see the screen now?
Yeah, we can see
Yes.
your screen. It's clear
Okay.
now. Thank you.
Alhamdulillah. I think there was a problem with the system, could be. Yeah, that is the pro and cons of this online conversation, you know? But alhamdulillah. So as I mentioned to you, that's why I have selected this when I look at the number of the followers. And you can see that the way how they are rating this, it is almost 5. And this is the website of this Facebook account. And it has been established, you see, almost, if we look at 15 years, it goes back to the 15 December 2009. And you can follow, this is the Facebook, link. This is the Facebook link. Now, when you look at the purpose, now when, of course, I mean, the purpose of having this Facebook account, as it has been mentioned by the manager, it is very clear here, it was for dawah purposes. And besides having this online, after 15 years of activities, the manager decided to have a masjid and a dawah center. So beside this Facebook account, I have seen that this Eddie, that is the manager, he has a TV, channel that he runs this program. And I've seen that this is very interesting, and as well as very beneficial. And you see here the purpose of having this. He was looking at the beginning, there was a kind of misunderstanding about Islam and the teachings of Islam. And he managed to, or he decided to come out with this platform that will ease the understanding of Islam from others as well as Muslims, and as well as to get rid of this Islamophobia. And you know that especially in the West, and he's residing currently in the United States, then there is a kind of bad impression about Islam and Muslims. So that is the best platform, if I said that. Now, it is very touchy if we look at the background of Eddie Rezovic, who is the manager of this account. So I managed to get this through the account after communicating with them. Then I got this kind of information. So you can see that at the very beginning, this will happen with every one of us. Maybe those who live in a life of luxury, and they think that happiness can be achieved by having money and anything else, and the position. But when you look at the life that Eddie was going through at the early age, so he couldn't find that kind of happiness. And we can see that at the age of 30, there was a change in his life. So that is how he became, a dedicated Muslim, even though he was coming from a Muslim background. When you look at the Bosnian Muslims, that they migrated to United States, and that is how they settled there. And Eddie, instead of practicing Islam, he became a different person. But there was a change. Perhaps it was like he went through different crises and he couldn't find this happiness. So this is what I say, that these are some of the words that have been expressed by him when he said that the way he was living before becoming a Muslim, he said that I am in a jail, cell, thinking these people don't care about me. It means that even though you have this ability of having money and position, maybe at the same time you'll not be able to achieve the real happiness. So that changed the life of Eddie, and he became one of the pioneers and the founders of this Facebook account. But what is the most important thing, as I mentioned to you, so I just went through his activities and I found this very interesting activity. And you can see here, through these symbols, he managed to convey the message of Islam to different people. And I have analyzed and I went through this by looking at all the views as well as those who commented on this poster that he posted on March 5th, 2021. And you can see with this simple, if we say poster, that is expressing the main teachings of Islam. When you look at the things prohibited in Islam, and you can see all these lies. For example, we have the adultery, alcohol, and other things, riba, for example. You see, these are the main teachings of Islam. So what I have seen here, based on the analysis that I have done, you can see here, when I went through, I can see that if every one of us will do that through the Facebook account by providing this information that was uploaded like Brother Ed here, so we can see that you can see within, let's say, within, if I say maybe one post, it is not one day, but this is for one post, we had like likes 16,125. Then you have those who loves 18,893. And those who shared this post with others are 3,705. And those who commented, and they were very lengthy commented, at the same time, you see they are near to 650. And another important thing is how to monitor and how to follow up the comments that are made by the commenters when you post. Maybe usually we are not like that, but some of those who post, then you see those people who comment. Maybe they could be Muslims and non-Muslims. And I was very much impressed that he responded to one comment that it was a continuous, if we say, discussion within the same person. Maybe 3 or 4 times he was commented on that and providing a satisfactory answer to the questions that were raised and the comments that were put forward. And when I calculated all this, you see within the single post that he did, the total people that were engaged, that is our, the target here, that we'd like to see the influence of this platform, especially when we want to convey the message of Islam to others. And you can see here almost 40,000 people. And that is for one single post that was uploaded by Brother Eddie through this Facebook account. Now we can see that, of course, depends on how people use this Facebook account, but what I have seen that this is very beneficial. And what we can learn, you see here, when you look at the things that he portrayed to others, and these are very fundamental, maybe a Muslim will be reminded and a non-Muslim will be reminded at the same time, because these are universal values that are shared by others as well. And we know that Islam is universal way of life and provides or facilitates the needs of every human being. And when you look at the first thing that lies, and we can see that even Muslims, they lie, and knowing that this is, if we said that that is a sin, and we are going to be accounted for. Another thing, when I look at these haram relationships, so that is a reminder. So it has become like a normal value, even for Muslims, and they do not have any kind of restriction. And they do apply these haram relationships. So we have to pay attention to this, As I mentioned, this is just only a single post and provided all these different types of ways how we can learn from this by looking at the teachings of Islam. Murder, at the same time, you can see that even murder has taken place through the use of these platforms. And we have seen that in many cases that especially the minors, they have been, maybe the teenagers at the young age, they have been cheated by people and they have been murdered. And later on, they were found dead because the abuse of this platform by certain people. So we have to provide this kind of awareness for the youngest among our community as well as other communities in order to take care of the use of this platform. So it is like we have to monitor here. Maybe we need the religious, if we say, or maybe I don't want to use the word religious, but we want the Muslim representatives among the learned people who have this responsibility to provide maybe a key indicator that will control this kind of abuse when we promote the teachings of Islam to others. And you can see maybe some of you, they will agree and disagree when you talk about the music, because Muslims have been attracted by any kind of music. And we know what does Islam say about the music and how we are, that is a reminder, maybe if you are attracted by this or alcohol, you will be surprised that Muslims are, a part of this, if we say sins, and we can see here riba, gambling, backbiting, Muslims are involved in that. So how can we get rid of this kind of habit or habits that have been created by Muslims? Now, what I can say, by browsing this kind of information through the Facebook platform, this will remind us. This will remind us and provide this kind of information. Now, after looking at this single post, as I mentioned to you, because if I go through, I wanted to have a kind of balance in the promotion of the teachings of Islam by using Facebook account. But as we said that the time is not sufficient, perhaps you can ask questions. And as a conclusion, I would like to say that, yes, the Facebook application, it is very relevant for us, and especially it is very helpful during this kind of situation that we have gone through and we are still going through, that is COVID-19 pandemic. So that will help us to get rid of this difficulties that we are going through, then we can reach others at a very far distance. And this will provide greater opportunities for Muslims that we can reach. And this will, it is, reducing the cost. Imagine if you are traveling to another place, perhaps what you pay is less compared to what you are going to do while you are traveling. And you have to follow different rules and regulations. When I talk about these SOPs, that the mask, you have to check yourself for whether you are a part of the COVID or not. So this will cost a lot of money, monetary, let's say. And this is making our life very easy. And another important thing that we can say that this is very beautiful, and especially for the young generation, but it is very tricky as well. So we have to take care of it, how to make use of that. So with that, I would like to thank you very much, and Barakallahu Fikum for listening to this. Now, this is the last presenter for our panel of discussion. So now we are going to open for question and answers. So feel free to ask questions. You can ask directly to the speakers, please. Yes, please. If you'd like to ask any question or any comment, perhaps you'd like to provide some suggestions, we'll be happy to listen from you.
Maybe I think the audience mostly from Indonesia in the process of Zuhur praying.
Yeah, the same thing is here in Malaysia, sister. We just the Dhuhr prayer. So if that is the case, if you'd like to add anything before we finish, if there is no any question, so if the panelists would like to say anything before we leave, then that would be better. Or yes, please.
But yeah, Kamil, do you mind if the audience, if the participant ask in Bahasa, because I think most of them.
Yeah, okay, never mind. Yes, never mind. We look at the maslaha al-mursala, majority, the community, Yeah, please.
Ya, silakan kepada Bapak, Ibu, teman-teman, rekan-rekan sejawat yang ingin bertanya, bisa bertanya dengan raise hand atau langsung di open voice.
Yeah, maybe all of them do the prayer.
Maybe if you'd like to add something before we finish, any one of those who... Yes, please.
Yeah, but I don't want to add something, but actually I have a question.
Yeah, okay, please.
For your presentation, Doctor.
Okay, okay. Please.
So because I think it's important, particularly because it is presented during this situation, the pandemic situation. But as far as I know, that there are, the da'i, the religious preachers, has been conducting their dakwah through social media even before the COVID outbreak. So my question is, what makes your observation significant during this pandemic? Compared with the media-based activities even before this.
Okay, but I got your point. Frankly speaking, when I went through the previous studies, I didn't see any critical analysis about these Facebook accounts. They have written about Facebook separately, and they have written about Islamic Dawah separately. But looking at both these two integrated, I didn't see any previous study that is done. So that that is the first thing that made me to come out with this kind of study. And when I look at the COVID pandemic, I have seen that the activities have been increased through this platform. Maybe previously people did not use them, they used to use randomly, but now we have seen that all the activities that we do, even the lectures that most of our colleagues here, they conduct through the Facebook account, So I can see that this is maybe double, triple, or more than that. So the usage, maybe that is the reason why recently we had a pause for this Facebook account. Could be, But these are two things. And another thing as well, I have seen that even some of them, you can see that maybe they don't use the proper way of conveying the message of Islam. So that is what I wanted to provide, a critical analysis. So this was just only a part of my study. So when you look at the critical analysis, I'll see the varieties of activities, whether other activities that are posted by the user, of this Facebook account, are in line with being, looking at him as a Muslim, are in line with the teachings of Islam or not. So are we going to, that is another point that I was motivated to come out with this study, So let us see when we have the complete result about this, but I was very much, as I mentioned, impressed. I look at other accounts, you can see even in Indonesia, but I look at the non-Muslim, countries. Maybe in Indonesia, we have plenty, we have bigger, like some of you mentioned that this, they have established, especially the learned religious people, or maybe we don't use the religious people, Muslims and intellectual, they have used these group communities, So that is great, that is great. That is what we need, how to reach our community. So I hope this is clear, Brother Fatah. So this is my purpose of doing that.
Thank you.
Welcome, yeah. So now we have almost another 15 minutes, according to the time. So as usual, the young people nowadays have been attracted or distracted by by this technology, We are experiencing that even during our teaching hours. But of course, we don't generalize. We have many of them are very active and serious as well. So I believe that this platform will motivate the young Muslims to take the initiative to lead the way. So this is, if you look at our university, being Islamic university, we have the motto leading the way. So we have to lead the way as Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, he led the way and he promoted Islam, then we have to promote Islam. So regardless of the consequences. And I'm very much impressed with your presentations, mashallah.
Actually, that's the issue. The issue of using media in preaching is actually popular in Indonesia because it differentiates between the way of preaching applied by millennial preachers and the way of preaching applied by senior, let's say, older preachers, because those older preachers still use a very traditional way of preaching, and consequently, they doesn't reach more audience if we compare with the millennial preachers.
Yeah, maybe that needs another study, Brother Fatila. You have to do a study about this,
Yeah.
So how to motivate perhaps and how to create a moderation, because I know, of course, Indonesia is the biggest Muslim country, So it is like, we say that 1/3 of the whole Muslim population in the world. Now I've seen that even some of the Christians are very much impressed by the moderation that you use. Most of the Muslims in Indonesia, of course, we don't look down at other places, but this is what I have heard. Moderation, moderation when we live according to Islam, that is how we look at it, moderation. We don't bargain, we don't reconcile with other values. So that should be the motto, when you look at the motto, how to provide. So I think that what you have mentioned, this, yeah, maybe any one of us or any one of you can, or maybe the young, they can do a study, you know. Maybe others, the sister, would you like to say anything before we leave? Sister Nurul, Haira, or Riswani?
I think for me that's enough.
Yeah, I'm sure this is enough, and and I'm happy. Yeah, well, although it is in online meeting, but I'm so happy to meet Mr. Fatir Sheru and my old friend Nurulada Haira. Mursydia, they're still young, but they are very active and I like them very much.
Mashallah, mashallah. And the sister Riswani, I think Sister Nurul, she wanted to have a photo, you know, physically, but we can have online, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah. Even me, when I know Dr. Fahmir for the first time than the others, but this is the first time that I look at him as a person. Because we're just talking through the WhatsApp.
Yeah, but you attended our conference, Sister Nurul. You attended our conference.
Yeah, I attend. I attend.
But we didn't have time because we are busy with the conference and we didn't have time to talk. But inshallah, in the future, when things will become better, we can maintain this relationship that we have established. And the new ones, we want newcomers to join us, inshallah.
Offline, not online.
Yeah, of course, not online. Indonesia is nearby, you know.
We hope
whether you
next
come
year.
to Malaysia or we
Next
go
year,
to
yeah.
Indonesia.
Next year, we hope we are still together and we can face anything difficult.
Inshallah, inshallah.
Next ISIS.
You take
Actually, Doctor, this is our second session. So we were in a similar in a session in the previous IGs, and now we are here with you. So I hope we can continue
together.
Yeah, we can stay together in the next IGs. Yeah.
So maybe can we ask the host to take a photo for us? You know.
Yeah.
And the members, can we ask the others as well?
Okay, thank you, sir.
You're welcome.
And I want to introduce myself. My name is Isa, as host virtual from one. And let's start. Take a picture for memories. And here we go. And 1, 2, 3, cheers. Okay. Again. And 1, 2, 3, cheers. Okay. Thank you, sir. And thank you, participant. And thank you, panelists.
Terima kasih.
Yeah,
even though we have time, but we can stop here. We have time, another almost less than 10 minutes. But if you'd like to proceed until 12:30, or if you want us to stop here, we can do so. So we are free that we can comment it, you know. So the members, how did like? So we should have a shura. So do we stop here now?
Yes.
Okay, let us. Okay. Before we close our session, I would like to extend again our thanks and gratitude to the organizing committee of this event and for inviting us. We have been waiting for 1 year to present our papers, alhamdulillah. And we are very thankful to all of them. And may Allah make it easy that we meet next year face to face, inshallah. So with that, let us close by reciting Surah Al-Asr and Tasbih Kafara. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم إلى الذين آمنوا وعملوا الصالحات وتواصوا بالحق وتواصوا بالصبر سبحانك وبحمدك أشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت أستغفرك وأتوب إليك Okay, thank you very much. Fi amanillah. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Thank
Thank
you
you. Thank you.
so much. Thank you so
Yeah, yeah.
much.
Thank you very much,
Thank you
Dr.
so
Fahmi.
much.
Welcome, welcome. Amin. Thank you.
I hope you
Assalamualaikum.
can
Waalaikumsalam
hear.
warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Bye.
Yeah, we hope so. Thank you.